Hello, I'm the animator's friend, India Lombardi-Bello. Thanks for listening to my show. I'm going to keep my introduction kind of as short as possible because at the end of the episode, for you real ones, I'm going to read my paper that I wrote in college that apparently my opinions on Jurassic Park have been very controversial. Multiple people have approached me with ire that I said Jurassic Park was overrated, including my guest today, Jasper Lynn, which he insisted we discuss at the start of the episode. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, I suggest perhaps before you listen to this episode, listen to my last episode with Nicole Otaola, where we talk about Jurassic Park and our difference of opinion. After having that chat with her and then the chat with Jasper, I'm kind of like, I want to read my paper because I'm curious as to like what I remember certain things about it, but I don't remember everything. Some of the friends of the animator's friend have stated an interest in me saying the location of the recording since it is different slightly every single time. Jasper and I were recording at SVA MFA Computer Arts in one of the editing suites. Jasper Lynn is an animator, computer artist, and educator, and his work ranges from narrative short films to experimental video and sound pieces. But his interdisciplinary background and DIY work ethic have led him to fill a wide variety of roles in production, design, and academia. I know Jasper through SVA MFA Computer Arts. We both work there, both teach there. And yeah, we've known each other for years at this point. And the theme of this episode is beef. There's a lot of beef between us. There is beef with other animators that he is initiating. So buckle up. Specifically, just because I don't think we clarify it until like later in the episode, I'll try not to imbue my own opinion of what happened here and let you be the judge after listening to the episode where we really hash out, I think, all the details. There was a conversation that Jasper and I had like a few years ago where I perceived him as believing that I was 40 years old when I had to have been 9 to 10 years younger than that at that time. So that was shocking, but he says it's a joke. So it is a disagreement between us, miscommunication perhaps between us that continues to haunt our relationship. You tell me what you think about the situation. I also want to say I'm very happy to be attending Anima Fest Zagreb this year and right after Annecy International Animation Festival. I'm really excited to be attending both festivals. This is the first festival attendance that I'm doing now that I have a podcast. So really looking forward to just connecting with people, but also recording some podcast content on the fly at the festivals. So stay tuned for updates. You can follow me if you're not already on Lucky Dogface, but also just keep checking my podcast feed because I think there will be more episodes than usual. And if you're going to Annecy or Zagreb, tell me. I want to meet you. I want to talk to you. I want to be your friend. Speaking of, let's tune in to my conversation with my frenemy, Jasper Lynn. For the listeners, Jasper's really high maintenance. Really high maintenance guest.
Oh no, that's all I'm recording. Okay. I'm just aware of like my mannerisms.
No, I appreciate
Is that my mic? Was that my? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what I was expecting, but
This is fun.
It's a very low tech operation.
No, it's good. Yeah, I like it. Well, you said in your last episode with Nicole, you're like, I don't care about truth in this podcast.
True,
so
yeah.
you're like the animation Joe Rogan.
I was
You're just like
disinformation.
Yes.
Yep, that's me.
All right. Well, I'm glad that I'm here to set the record straight.
Yeah.
Especially on disinformation like Jurassic Park being overrated, because that was I just can't let that slide. And you know why? Because it has to do with a common issue between us, which is age.
Yeah.
Because very famously, in front of all our students last year,
yeah,
you accused me of calling you old.
Yes.
Which I never did.
But you did.
But I did as a joke. As a joke. I knew your age. It was a joke. I knew your age. Don't use your platform to spread more disinformation. We landed on that I knew your age and I made a joke and you didn't take it as a joke and you thought I actually thought anyways. It's an age thing, okay? You said you admitted you saw it when you were old.
Yeah. There's no reason why I shouldn't have seen it.
Yeah.
At a normal age, of a young age.
That's true. Didn't. Yeah, you just didn't. I think what Nicole is getting at too, and I think what you need to give credit for is that like at that time, it's like kids have liked dinosaurs forever.
Yes.
But like the tagline of that movie coming out was like, you will believe dinosaurs are real. Mm-hmm. And then you watch it and you're like, I do believe dinosaurs are real. You can't deny that. Like, it's like, it was like really, it was like movie magic in the purest sense. And what you said, and again, you said that they used too gratuitous CGI.
Yes.
And you talked about that one shot at the end. Yes. With the banner falling down.
Yes.
That's like a 5-second shot at the end of the movie.
I ruined the whole movie.
Right. Well, now you really are being Joe Rogan. You're being obtuse.
I love that word, obtuse.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I need to revisit it.
I mean, I get it. Look, I get it. I think all the Jurassic Park sequels kind of suck, except for maybe the first one. Mm. It was a great answer for Nicole to be like the answer of that questionnaire, and you just dumped all over it, and I had to come on immediately after straight. Listening to set
That's the only reason you're here.
Yeah, I can go now. I don't need to do the question. And to set the record straight about the age thing.
Okay,
because it was a joke. I know what age you are. Mm-hmm. And you used it as a, for the record, I was drunk when I made the joke. Oh and then I was drunk again when you called me out in front of all of our students about it. I want to say to the audience, if anybody's listening who doesn't know, like, these are grad students. We're not drinking with 22-year-olds, hopefully, but it's the year-end party at SVA at MFA CA, and we go to the bar after the screening. That's when you accosted me and embarrassed me in front of all of our students. And remember, I was like screaming, like I was doing a bit where I was like, "This is the woke mob," and I was like, what I realized after that was I'm like, only like half of these students had me in class, and even them, I'm like, how many of them like know me well enough to know my sense of humor, and I'm like, how many of them think I'm being serious right now? And there's like partners, people's girlfriends and boyfriends and husbands and stuff were there, and they're just like, we're just like taking over the bar, screaming at each other. Yeah. We have. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Who are you apologizing
to you for the whole scenario, but you should apologize for me because it was a joke, and you just use it as a chance to embarrass me. So.
I don't think I'm sorry. We're still learning from this experience, I think. It's not resolved yet.
No, it is. It's resolved. This is the setting the record straight. Anybody who's listening who was at the West Side Tavern in like May 2024, whenever that was, and saw me like ranting and raving. It was all a joke. It was all a bit. I was in on the joke. India wasn't really upset. She knew it was a joke. I didn't call her old. The end.
I don't know about that. But moving on. One, what's your sign?
Cancer.
Cancer.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Okay.
A little bit.
You know, speaking of age, I feel like at your birthday party one year, you and somebody who was really into astrology, I think it was Huang, somebody asked me what my sign was, and I said Cancer, and everybody who was into astrology was like, and I was like, what does it mean? And they're like, no, it's fine. And then they were like you and Huang were like, yeah, Huang was like snickering. No, she was like whispering to like you and Angelica. She was like, no, it's fine. Yeah, no, it's fine. And then you guys were like raising your eyebrows at each other and stuff. So what is that all about? Like, what can you?
Cancer's not bad. It's not bad. I don't think it's bad, at least.
Okay.
Cancer's like, you're kind of like insular and like maybe like a little emotional, but like you're kind of like contained.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay.
And which I can see that in you. All right. Where are you in the birth order?
I am the baby. I'm the youngest of 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's shaped you in any way?
Yeah. It shaped me into a big baby.
Big baby.
I'm a giant baby. I think in life, I feel adult. Like I feel like I'm a fairly well-adjusted adult. But when I go, like literally, I just go back home, visit my family. Within like, we go on vacation a lot in the summers and stuff. I'm just like, yep, I'm still the baby. Like everybody treats me like a baby.
Yeah.
It's tough because I tell my partner this. You pick the baby. Like you're like married into the lowest rung of the ladder, you know?
Yeah.
Like not that like my family's like that or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, not that my like parents care or anything like that, but it's like we went on a vacation last summer to the Cape Cod. Katie came, her kids came, and it was like hard being like a partner and a step parent and then the baby of the family.
Yeah.
It's just like a
like
lot
hard
to juggle.
to like maintain authority.
Yeah. And it's hard to be like, you know, I have been an adult. I've had a job. I've had partners before. They've met them. Any family vacation before like 2020, I was like immediately just like the sullen teenager. You know, I was like, oh, whatever. Yeah, I don't care about dinner. Let's just go somewhere. You know, like you guys make the decisions. I'm just like along for the ride. So it's interesting. It's interesting to be like treated like the baby in my family, but then in real life, I'm like, I'm a grown up. I'm not a baby.
Do you feel like you carry any of those traits though into like or is it just like you get thrown back into that?
I get thrown back into it. I have a friend who is younger than me, but our dynamic is that she's like my older sister. Like she like bosses me around like my older sister does. And I'm like, you are like my second older sister that I didn't ask for. And that's actually younger than me and I'm not related to.
Yeah.
There's things like that. There's situations like that. I guess I carry it into certain aspects of my life. I feel like I do have a little bit of very strong like imposter syndrome, inferiority complex about a lot of things. Nobody else is an animator. So I don't feel like inferior to them in that way. But like my family, they're all really good at sports, and like it's like a gradient, like a big drop off. Like my brother and sister were both really good at sports in high school. And like, I like sports and I like playing sports, but I'm not good as them. And it's like, to this day, you know, like old man strength. I was like, you can lift weights as much as you want, but you'll never like be able to beat your dad at arm wrestling or something. It's just like, I have that like dynamic with them. Like they're very competitive. Like I'm right now, I'm like, sure I could play my brother like in basketball and he would like absolutely destroy me. And I would feel like 12-year-old kid who got cut from the basketball team, like all over. It's like that kind of thing. But other than that, I feel like in my regular life, in my day-to-day life, I don't feel like a baby. But it is like this weird two sides kind of thing. Yeah. When my mom met Katie for the first time, she was like, it's so crazy. He's our baby, but now he's a stepdad. So me and Katie's joke is like, I'm a baby stepdad. Baby stepdad. It's weird that I'm a baby stepdad.
Yeah. Number 3, what is your favorite sandwich?
Turkey Club.
I love a turkey sandwich.
Yeah. I just think it's like the perfect sandwich, and I'll have it like a fancy one, a diner one, like a bodega one. They're all good. There was a bodega across the street from FIT in my last job, and I went in probably like every day for like 3 straight years and ordered a turkey club on a hero. And what I loved about that bodega is the sandwich guy. It was the same guy every time, and he didn't like make a thing of it. Like he didn't acknowledge that I was coming in and ordering the same sandwich every single day for like 5 straight years.
Yeah.
And every time he'd be like, what do you want? And I'd say it, and he'd be like, mayo or mustard? Or mayo? And he's like, he'd always like ask what type of bread, and I'd be like, out of here. And he's just like, and I'm like, I appreciate this. Like, I appreciate not calling attention to the fact that I only eat one thing every single day for my entire life.
Yeah. Because I don't know why, but that's something that like bothers me is like, I know people really like to be like a regular somewhere, but I don't.
I don't either.
There's something about it that really bothers me. I was like,
don't like it.
It makes me feel like a loser.
It does. It makes you feel like a loser. It makes you feel like, I don't know. This is, I wasn't a huge fan of that last job. Like I was really like it was really stressful, and I tried to get out of it. I was trying to get out for a really long time. I was kind of a regular at a coffee shop up 7th Avenue. And I wasn't like a regular, like they wouldn't be like, hey, it's him, you know, but like the manager of the coffee shop knew me. Like I would go get the like big crates of coffee for like events and stuff like that from them, and she'd be like, oh, next time call ahead and like we'll do like let us know, blah blah blah. The manager of the coffee shop got a new job and left that job before I left that job. And I was like, that was like not to say anything like, you know, whatever. It's not like comparing different careers or ways to work in food service or whatever, but it was just like the most depressing thing ever to be like a regular somewhere, and then the people that you knew that knew you were a regular were like moving on. It's like, oh, see you later, loser. It's like I'm too good for this now too. So I don't ever want to like, I don't want people to know my order. I don't want people to know my name. It's just like anonymous, you know, like
I'm with you on that one. Good. I'm with you on that one. 4, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Okay, so it used to be Bruce Springsteen. Anything by Bruce Springsteen.
Anything.
Yeah, like he's the singer who's like the closest to my vocal range. And I feel like, you know, for a karaoke, like there's a lot of crowds that know Bruce Springsteen.
Yes.
Older, younger. He's got happy songs. He's got dramatic songs, you know, if you're like looking for like something moody or something like rousing.
Yeah.
But, you know, I find that we're getting old and there's not a lot of karaoke rooms anymore that like really appreciate anything like from the 90s or earlier. So I feel like I have to say Mr. Brightside by the Killers. Yeah. That's like the 2000s radio indie rock is the sweet spot now, because it gets everybody. It gets the older millennials. It gets the younger millennials. The Gen Z people recognize it. You know, like you sing Bruce Springsteen to like Gen Z, they were just like, "What is this?" Yeah. Do you know that Instagram account? There, I Ruined It.
I don't think so.
They take like modern songs and like remix them, or like use AI generated voices to make them like old timey. Yeah. So it's like ludicrous, move bitch, like cross like set to like a Bing Crosby beat or some song, you know? Yeah. It's just like stuff like that. Yeah. And it's like a meme format where it's like, this is what you sound like when you sing the songs of your youth in front of kids. No. Like I think you sound like this. So yeah. I've moved on from Bruce Springsteen, and I'm like, I think I'm only gonna do 2000s radio, like indie rock from now on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. 5, what's your latest fixation?
My fixations usually manifest in streaks. I'm obsessed with streaks.
Streaks?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I have like a really long New York Times crossword puzzle streak.
Okay. Yes.
And I have a really long Duolingo streak. I did realize, I was thinking about this, and I was like, I feel like basketball is one of my streaks. Like I play every week. And I'm like, I don't know why I play every week. Like I'm just like, you know, when you emailed me to schedule this, like I was like, I can't do Tuesday night. Or I have something on that Tuesday 3 weeks out that I could change. I was talking about basketball. And I was like, I just like, why would you say like when it's taking over your life, like scheduling wise like that? Yeah. That I'm just like, it's a weird fixation that I'm like, no, I have to keep doing this. I have to keep doing this. And you remember, I ruptured my Achilles tendon in 2021. Yeah. And like getting back to being able to play basketball was a big deal for me. Like that I was like, I'm not done. I'm still going to play. Yeah. And then I did, like I, you know, PT and like going to the gym for a really long time. But now I'm just playing and now I'm just like, it feels like a streak because I'm like, if I ever stop or if I get hurt again, I'm like, I'm older than 40 now. I'm like, it might be it for me. I might never play again.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What are you doing on Duolingo? German.
Oh, okay. my girlfriend's a German professor. Oh. She has a PhD in German studies.
Wow.
German stuff. Yeah. I started it with Mandarin because I've been trying to get better at speaking and like learning how to read and write, which I never did when I was a kid. But I finished the Chinese course.
You finished? Yeah. I didn't know you could finish.
Yeah. Well, I should check. Maybe, you know, they put out updates. Yeah. But I reached the end of Chinese and then I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just do German.
Do you feel like you're expert now?
At Chinese? Yeah. No. Like I stopped speaking fluently when I was like 7 or 8. I certainly like know more about like grammar and I have a bigger vocabulary from it. But like the actual confidence of like speaking it and getting the tones right and the accent, I'm like, I need to like take a class, like an immersion class. Yeah. Or like have like a study friend who only speaks to me in Mandarin. Part of the reason that I want to do it was to learn to read and write. And I can't read and write, but I can look at like a page of Chinese writing and like tell you what it's about. Okay. I couldn't like read it, but I could be like, this is a tax document or like, you know, this is a page from a short story about like, you know, a girl and a boy or something. Interesting. Yeah. But so there's some progress there. Yeah. Where previously, like I literally knew like maybe 2 or 3 characters. But no, I'm not expert nowhere.
6, what's your greatest extravagance?
The only honest answer to this question, I bought an electric car.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, this feels extravagant. Yeah. Like I'm like, I could have just bought a car. Yeah. But I wanted to buy an electric car. And I bought an electric car.
That's like a good extravagance.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I had told you about my like weekend commute. I go up to Massachusetts every weekend. I'm just like, if I'm going to participate in like car culture like this, I needed a new car. And I was like, I'm not like a car person, you know, I'm not like, I don't care about like horsepower and stuff like that. I'm just like, I just need it to get to where I'm going. Yeah. And then I'm going to do something fun and extravagant, like buy an electric car.
A Tesla?
No. Yeah, Cybertruck. Imagine. What is this? Cut that out. No. See, this is what I'm saying. It's like the thing with the bar where it's like nobody knows that I'm joking. I need to make it clear. I do not have a Cybertruck. It's a Hyundai. Okay. Yeah. Which like, it's funny. It still feels extravagant. Yeah. But I was like on all these like forums, like reading reviews before I bought it. And somebody was like, I don't want to drive around like a status symbol. Like I feel like an electric car is like kind of like flashy and showy. And all of the responses were like, dude, it's a Hyundai. Like nobody thinks it's a status symbol.
7, what's the talent that you'd most like to have?
Being able to play the piano. I just think it's so cool. I did take piano lessons, yeah. But I don't remember anything. I took, like my parents forced me to take them for like 5 years. I hated every second of it. I didn't pay attention to anything. Now I'm on the other side of it. We're trying to get my stepkids to stick to the instruments that they're learning. One of them's taking cello lessons. One of them's taking piano lessons. And I'm just like, you have no idea how lucky you are. Aww. You know, like it's like, yeah. But I like, you know, it's, what it is like Instagram reels where you see like somebody just like sit down at a piano and then just like play like whatever, you know, like I'm like, that's so cool.
8, what were you like in high school?
I mean, the short answer is I was lame. Like I really don't feel like I had a personality. You know, like as much as I wish I could be like one of those people who's like, I was friends with everybody, you know, I got along with like the jocks and like the cool kids. Like I was like, I like sports, but I wasn't good enough to play them like varsity level. Like my good friends, one of them played basketball, one of them played soccer. I couldn't play either of those sports well enough to make those teams. So I wasn't like in those groups of friends. I was like smart-ish. But I was very self-conscious about being like the nerdy Asian kid. So I didn't try. Like I never did homework. I avoided taking honors classes. So I was like, I'm not going to do good at school. I'm just going to like get by. So I wasn't like friends with nerds. You know, like I took a drama class for fun because it was a fun extra elective, but I wasn't like a theater kid. Like I was intimidated by like the theater kids, and art classes too. Like it's like the art teacher in my high school was like, you know, the old hippie in The Simpsons. He's like bald and has a ponytail. He wears a tie-dye shirt. Yeah. He was like that. And it was like in this wing of the high school as away from everything else. And it was like this like little clique of like cool artsy kids. And I was like so intimidated. And I was like, I can't hang out with them. So I was just like nothing. Like I just kind of like coasted through. I wasn't like a loner. Like I had a handful of good friends, but I just didn't, I look back at my life and I'm like, I don't really feel like I had a personality until like college. I just kind of like put my head down and just like plow through them. I just get this over with.
Yeah. 9. What was the first work of art of any kind that made a meaningful impact on you as a child?
Jurassic Park.
Seriously?
I mean, probably, but I will answer differently. The first thing, to answer the question, I have two of them. One of them, I really have a distinct memory, is the last Calvin and Hobbes strip.
Wow.
Yeah. I loved comic strips. I loved like Peanuts and Garfield and whatever, you know, and like Calvin and Hobbes was one of my favorite ones. And something about the last one, the fact that it was like, this is over. Like, this isn't just something you look at every day for fun. This is something that's done and doesn't exist anymore and will exist in this form. And I just remember it like really hitting me like hard and realizing a bit like, oh, this isn't like entertainment. Like this is art. Like there's something indefinable about this moment, like watching something that you took for granted as like fun and like funny and like, you know, not that it wasn't like moving or like emotional, like it's like a beautiful comic strip, but the fact that it ended, like I was like, this means something. And I remember this because I cut out the comic from the newspaper and I was like, this is important. I have to save this. And I have it hanging in my apartment.
Is it framed?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah.
And the second one is actually around the same time. The first movie, like I grew up with movies with like animation, action movies, you know, 90s, like pop culture kind of stuff. I remember Saving Private Ryan came out in like the summer of like 1998 or something. And I remember liking it, and like I'm a boy, I like war movies and stuff. You know, it's like Steven Spielberg, like whatever. And then later that year, I saw The Thin Red Line by Terrence Malick. It's like this big war epic. There's a lot of famous people in it, like George Clooney is in it, but his role got cut down to like 3 lines.
Yeah,
and it's mostly just like voiceover of like soldiers' like inner thoughts, or like voiceovers of them writing letters to their loved ones, like intercut with jungle and like nature footage, and then like really like upsetting, like not exciting, not like rousing or sentimental like war footage where it's like really, really unpleasant kind of stuff. It was like a weird thing where like it took something that I was used to, that even within that same year, I was like, oh, this movie's awesome and like badass and like I'm a boy and I like guns and explosions and like reading about World War II and stuff. And it made me be like, oh, like this is a film, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the earliest that I remember from movies anyways.
Yeah. 10, when did you feel most discouraged about pursuing your creative path?
I have a very distinct memory from, I want to say, I don't even remember the date, but I remember like the moment because it was spurred by a compliment from a student. I was adjuncting. I was working full time.
Adjuncting?
Yeah, is that not a word?
I don't know.
It
sounded funny. So now I'm like adjuncting. Yeah, I guess it would be, right? Yeah.
Anyways.
For some reason I was feeling like it should be adjuncting.
Adjuncting? Like you dropped the T? That's your misinformation. Grammar for misinformation.
It's adjuncting, actually.
We call it adjuncting. I was adjuncting. I was working full time. It was like 5 or 6 years out of grad school. I wasn't making art. I wasn't working on my own films. was working 40 hours a week, and then I was also taking a train out to New Jersey to teach 2 classes a week. And I don't remember specifics of it. Either me or my friend Ashley just got turned down or passed over for a full-time like tenure track job at the school we were teaching at. I can't remember which because it happened to both of us in successive years. And I was just kind of like sitting there. It was like the last day of class. I vividly remember my students were just sitting there complaining about their other professors. And I was just sitting there just kind of listening to them, like letting them vent about their department. And I wasn't even fishing for a compliment, but I was just like, I got to tell you guys, this is like my worst nightmare. Like just imagining you guys in a room talking about me and being like, talking about all of the faults of this professor. And this one student, I'll never forget it because this student, Sean, who was like really dry. He had like a really dry sense of humor. Like I couldn't get a read on him all year long. I knew for sure, like I was like, this kid does not buy in what I'm selling. Like he's not interested in my class. He's like, just sits there. Like everything was about him was like so laconic and dry. He just said, you care. Like you teach, like you're a good professor. You care. And it was like so nice. And it was like, it like startled me because I really did think he didn't like my class, like because he was just like so quiet and like reserved. And it was like so depressing to get a compliment like that from a student, to be like, oh, you actually care about doing this job. And I was like, you're right, I do. And just like the circumstances of it and like how hopeless I felt that I'm just like, I'm never going to find a full-time teaching job. I'm going to be stuck at this job forever. I'm never going to be able to do the like working artist who teaches on the side to pay the bills. It stuck in my memory. Like it was the last day of the semester. It was a really nice day. And I just remember being like the campus is really nice. It's like the spring was blooming. And I was just like so depressed. I was like, this is never going to lead anywhere. I'm like, I do care. And that's the problem. I'm never like, I care too much, you know, like I'm never going to like get this thing that I care about. And it was really depressing.
Yeah. Look at you now.
Look at, yeah.
That's sweet that this student said though that you care, because I think that that's like something that like my undergrad experience and like the professors were successful, but like they're not there because they're interested in teaching people. They're interested in just like having a cushion for their own career. And that's like so ubiquitous in higher education, at least in the arts as far as I've seen. And it's like, it's so disturbing to me because I'm like, you're literally working with young people who are so like impressionable, who are so, they can be fragile. And it's like, don't give a shit. And it's like, that like boggles my mind. I
know. It's really weird. It's also like, it's hard, you know, like teaching is hard. Like making connections with students, with young people and being like, what do you care about? What do you want? What do you need to learn? Like, how can I help you learn? And some people who teach, they're just like why are you putting yourself through this? You know, like, I don't know. It's weird. It's like, it feels very like old fashioned, like boomery kind of, where it's like, oh, you're a teacher. You want summers off. You want like, you know, like it feels like whenever I get down on myself, or like my girlfriend is like down on herself about teaching, and I'm just like, there are so many bad professors. Like everywhere you look, there is a bad professor who's just like, does not care about their students, does not pay attention to them, doesn't know anything about like presenting material information or conveying information or like giving meaningful feedback. And it's just like, it's like such a low bar.
The important thing is that we care and students can tell. And I know you're like, I mean, everybody loves your classes. It's true. It's true. They do. 11. What character from an animation do you relate to the most?
Wallace from Wallace and Gromit.
Aww.
I don't know. I love dogs. I've always had dogs. I actually have an idea for an animation that I want to do. That's like a Wallace and Gromit wake up sequence, but without like the whimsy and like inventions and stuff, where it's just like my dog getting me out of bed and like pushing me out, literally like dragging me out of bed and pushing me out the door. Because that's what it feels like. That's what life feels like to me sometimes, where I'm like, these dogs are like my emotional support animals, but they also just like, I'm like, if they could like drag me to the bed, out of my bed to the kitchen, like shove food in my mouth, I would let them. The other answer that I thought of with that was anytime somebody's tired in a Studio Ghibli film, like in Kiki's delivery service, when she comes back from like her first day of work and she like walks to the edge of her bed and then she just like flops down like vertically, horizontally.
Yeah, like it's very dramatic.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm like the most tired person you'll ever meet. Like I like really love sleeping. So everybody's always like, oh, the food in those movies is always so good. But I'm like, when they show
the exhaustion is what gets you.
I'm serious. Yeah. It's like Spirited Away. It's like the entire plot of Spirited Away is like being a grown-up sucks because you have to get a job and work. And I'm like, that's speaking to me.
What's your relationship to caffeine?
It's not healthy, not good. I'm addicted to it.
So like, what's like a day? What's like a typical day of
It
caffeine
used to be
intake?
really bad. I used to drink like a pot of coffee a day. I'll tell you how bad it was. And within the first couple of weeks of lockdown, like that first month, I overdosed on caffeine. I'm pretty sure. Actually overdosed.
Like what happened?
Because like I used to drink like 5 cups of coffee a day, give or take. Like I would make one when I woke up. I would get to work and I would immediately be like, I'm going to get a cup of coffee. And then I would have like my lunch break. I would like go out. And then like probably like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, I'd be like, I need a cup of coffee. And I just keep drinking all throughout the day. When I switched from a 9-to-5 job to teaching full time, I was like, I need to cut back on coffee. So I did cut down to like 1 or 2 cups a day. Like I was like, I'll do tea in the morning and then I'll drink a cup of coffee in the afternoon before I teach to like wake myself up a little bit to get me through the afternoon. But then in COVID, like we're at home, I had gotten rid of my coffee maker. I was making my own cold brew. So the recipe of cold brew I was following was like, steep this for 24 hours. And I steeped it for like 48 by accident. And I was like eyeballing the measurements. And they're like, dilute it by like whatever, 1 to 4 coffee to water. And I was just like eyeballing that. Like I poured a little bit in, then I just like filled the rest up with ice and water.
Yeah.
And I just remember like 2 or 3 weeks into pandemic, lockdown, trying to teach from home, teach on Zoom. And I was like, just one day I had drank so much cold brew. And I was like, my hands were numb.
Oh my God.
And I was like dizzy, like my head was wobbling. And I was like Googling, like I was like COVID, wobbly, hands numb. I was like, I got it, I'm dying.
Yeah.
And I Googled it and like literally like WebMD and everything was like caffeine overdose. Like vertigo, dizziness, like nausea, like shaking hands. And I'm like, oh yeah. So it's not good. I don't have a good relationship with coffee. Like I still try to keep it to like 1 or 2 cups a day. But I am addicted to it. Like back when I was drinking like 5 cups a day, it would be like, if I didn't get my like 2 p.m. coffee, I'd start to get a caffeine headache, like a withdrawal headache. Yeah. Now it's like I could skip a day. And by like the end of the day, I'd be like kind of miserable. Yeah. But I wouldn't be like dying of like a brutal headache.
So when you overdose on coffee, like what do you do?
I just like laid down and just like my head just like wobbled.
Is there any like kind of, I don't know, like protocol that like you have to detox or anything? Or is it just like you're fine, it's just you have to write it out?
Yeah, like I was like, can you die? Like am I gonna like is like my heart gonna stop or like my brain gonna like explode or something? And there was just like, no, it's just like, just wait. It's like any other drug. It's just like 2 or 3 hours and you're just like out of your system and you're like, okay, I'm fine. Yeah, I just like I couldn't sleep. Yeah. But like literally I was dizzy enough that I was like, it's unpleasant being like vertical. So I just like, I think I taught my class and then I just like laid down in bed and just like hugged a pillow and just like laid there. And I was like, crazy. Yeah, no, it was pretty crazy. It was a crazy time for everybody, but I just remember like being stuck at home.
It was worse for you.
It was like I cope with it in a bad way, which was drinking like an entire French press worth of coffee and cold brew, and just like every day just being like, what do we do? Like people were like making bread and like going jogging and stuff, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna like overdose on caffeine and just like until my heart stops, which it almost did.
12. What characteristic are you most drawn to in other people?
Long-time listener. Everybody says the same thing. Empathy.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the only answer to the question. I think like if somebody cares, if somebody can like have a conversation and listen to you and like just step outside of themselves for a second, a minute, or like a class, you know, you're just like, I like you. You care, you know, you're like, what's the old cliche? Like people who listen or people who wait for their turn to talk. It's just like, it's like that, you know, like that's the only thing anymore that's like worth paying attention to in new people is just being like, can I just like connect with this person on an emotional level, or is they just gonna like talk at me for a little bit and I'm just gonna be like, okay, I'm not gonna remember this at all.
Yeah, for sure.
So like empathy, communication, like ability to just like sort of like talk and like ask questions or like tell you something about like not be like kind of like a closed off like yeah.
13. What is your most life-defining decision?
So I was failing out of computer science. I didn't switch out of computer science. I failed out of computer science.
Yeah.
I made it like, you know, like previously mentioned, like I didn't care about school. I wasn't like a good student. I hated studying. I hated homework. And I have to always say this when I tell the story. Young people don't remember computer science used to be really lame. Like
it may be a little more limited than what we would think.
Yeah. And it was like, and the professors were from MIT and they taught, it was like theory. It was basically just math. The math requirements for the major, if you took 2 more classes, math classes, you had a math minor. You took like 4 more classes, you had a double major in math. So it was all math, it was all theory, and I just hated it. Like I was just like, I can't stand this. And there was like nothing practical about it. And I was like failing classes left and right. I made it pretty far. I made it like 2 years in before it was really like, okay, this is really like a problem. And I looked at a bunch of different other majors. I met with like advisors. I met someone in computer engineering department. I was like, oh, maybe this is more hands-on and I won't be like so like bogged down in math classes or something like that. And that advisor, I'll never forget. I told him everything that was going through and like what I was struggling with. And he like looked at my transcript and he was like, have you thought about maybe like taking a year off and just deciding what you want in life? Which is probably good advice, like honestly. But to me, I was just like, so you're telling me to drop out of college, basically. So the momentous decision I made was that the only classes that I took that I liked were my animation classes, the computer graphics class. It was really underfunded. It was like this tiny little subsect of the computer science department called the Center for Knowledge Communication, the CKC. And it was started by the professor, the advisor who oversaw it. She liked animation. She liked video games because she wanted to use it to teach. It was like a 2D animation class, a Flash programming class, 2 3D animation classes, and then like 1 or 2, like a web design class or something like that. And that was it. And I had taken all those classes and I was like, I like those classes. I like all those classes. I like programming video games. I like, it wasn't even it was this old 3D animation program called Animation Master. It was the first time that I was like, you know, like I like movies, I like cartoons, I like drawing, but I never once considered like going into anything remotely creative for a career. And I was kind of like, by then, this is 2003, I was like, this is viable, right? Like computer graphics is a thing. I'm like, computer graphics is a major at other colleges. UMass very, very luckily had something called BDIC, bachelor's degree with individual concentration. Like colloquially, we call it build your own major. You like write a curriculum, you say what classes you're going to take, you write a paper, like a 10-page paper, give some like case study examples for careers and stuff like that. So I did that. And it was like the only way that I could get out of there in 5 years. Because I was literally like, should I drop out of college? Should I be like a history major? Like I was really into Howard Zinn when I was a kid.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, when I was that age. I was like, I don't know, maybe I could be a high school teacher, a history teacher. I don't know. Yeah. I almost changed my major, but I was like, I'll be here for like another 4 years. Like I'd have no credits towards that.
Yeah.
So I made the big choice to be like, I like this. I'm like, for the first time, like since like I was a non-person in high school, I was like, I want to do this. I wrote a major, computer graphics. I wrote the proposal. It was like all those graphics classes in the computer science department, all the animation classes which again, there was only like 2 or 3 in the art department, and then like a couple film classes, and the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
So I just doxed myself how old I am. It was 2003, 2004.
You're so obsessed with age.
I am. I'm a little obsessed with age. Mostly because I still want to win this argument with you that I wasn't calling you old.
14. What is your favorite feature animation?
So I don't have like, I was trying to think of like a good, like cool animator response to this.
Mm-hmm.
The closest I could come up with is I really wish Don Hertzfeld, you already brought Don Hertzfeld up today.
Yes.
I really loved his short, the World of Tomorrow shorts. So you haven't seen World of Tomorrow?
I don't think I have.
World of Tomorrow is like time, he's made 3 of them. It's like a time travel thing where like a future version of a little girl comes back to visit her.
Right.
And the little girl is voiced by, I think it's his like niece. And like he just like follows her around with like an H4 and like turns what she says. He's made 3 shorts and he should cut them together to make a feature film because it would be amazing.
Yeah.
If that was a feature film, that would be not just my favorite feature animated film, but like one of my favorite like sci-fi movies like of all time. It's so good. He actually did that with 3 of his other shorts. The ones with the guy, it's like everything will be okay. It's such a beautiful day. He took 3 of his shorts that all featured the same character and cut them into a feature. And I'm like, do that with World of Tomorrow so more people can see it. Like it's like it would be so good. So that's my like pretentious animator answer. But the honest truth is probably just like something very mainstream, like The Iron Giant or like Spirited Away, like something that I've seen like a million times.
Those are
like,
great ones.
Yeah.
15. What's your favorite short animation?
This one I have only a pretentious answer for. It's a short film by a French animator named Jeremy Clapin called Schizoin. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like the French version of the root, like schizo, like schizophrenia. And it's about a little guy who gets hit by a meteor, and the only thing that happens to him is that he shifts 91 centimeters away from his body. It's like, you might have seen it. It's like really, it's 3D, but the character has like a big flat 2D head. And it's like 3D environments, and he's like separated from his body. So he's like 91 centimeters away from his wall, but he bumps into the wall.
Yeah.
And he has to like draw like chalk lines around his apartment to like show where everything is. Like there's like a shot of his telephone, and there's a drawing of the telephone 91 centimeters away, and he like reaches out and picks it up. I don't know. I just love it. It's from like 2008. I've seen it a million times. I show it to all my classes. It's very like cute, but also very like existential. It's like about mental illness, but not like specifically about anything. Like it's just kind of like about like dissociation and like feeling out of place. It's very like French. Like it's very like moody and like silly and cute, but really like heavy and depressing too.
I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah.
16. What's something you believe to be overrated?
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. You sure you want the hottest take?
Yes.
Okay. You're already the Joe Rogan of animation. This is going to like shoot you into the next stratosphere. Okay. I believe to be overrated the Oscars short animation category. I'm out on the whole thing.
Okay.
I used to take my students every semester, every spring to go see them at IFC. I'm out on them because of one very memorable run-in with a recent winner.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Not just nominee, recent winner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think everybody knows the Oscars are kind of like whatever. They're like a popularity contest. They're like this weird kind of insular thing. It's like the best movies don't always win, right? They have weird tastes. They have, it's like about promotion and connections and like being like marketable or like artistic, but not too artistic, or like political, but the right politics, whatever. I think there's an illusion with the shorts categories that it's like, this is the exception. These are like young filmmakers getting their start. Like this is a representation of like the best that the animation industry has to offer. People breaking through, young Pixar directors or whatever, They're not. They're popularity contests. They're like Wes Anderson won a short Oscar in the live action category.
Uh-huh.
You know, like you look at the directors of every one of those categories and they're all like connected industry people.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go back. Okay. So I'm at the Woodstock Film Festival in 2024. It's a really meaningful festival for me because connections with SVA, right? Bill Plimpton and Signa Bomani used to run it. I worked on a short film in undergrad that screened there in like 2009. And that was around the time that I was starting my MFA. And I was like, oh, I'm an animator. I'm like, this is like, I had just strong associations with it.
Yeah.
Really great program. Mm-hmm. Anyways, this animation place, War is Over. Mm-hmm. Okay. Super high budget. Like right away, you can tell. Super high budget, like 3D animated, you know, whatever. Cinema 4D, Maya. I think it ended up being Unreal Engine. Really high quality 3D animation, really well rendered. It's like a war movie. It's like this like treacly war movie about like two enemy soldiers. You saw it, right?
I actually didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
But like, I feel like I know so much about it. You know?
Yeah. It's corny. I'll just say it. It's corny. Okay. It's about two soldiers on either side of like a fake World War I looking war, like trench warfare. And they're playing chess with each other with a carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it's just very corny.
It's very literal.
Literal.
Too.
Yeah. Very, very literal. Right. And it gets more literal. Like it's really long and it's really like it's building up and you're like, wow, this is really high quality. It ends with this battle scene. Like hundreds of characters running at each other, shooting guns, explosions. The two soldiers, they're friends for the chess game, but they have to run at each other and they're about to stab each other and about to kill each other. And then somebody runs up and stops them and holds up a telegram. And the telegram says, war is over. And the needle drop comes on and the John Lennon Yoko Ono song starts playing. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, how is this possible? Like, I was already thinking that. I was like, whoa, this is not an indie animation. Like, somebody's like, some serious studio money is behind this. Like, who is this? Is this Netflix? Is this Apple TV? But then they start playing that the John Lennon song. And I'm like, you can't just do that. Like, what indie animator licensed this John Lennon song? Yeah. Right. And it's just like, you know, they're like hugging, the soldiers are hugging, war is over, they're playing. It's like the crowd is going crazy, right? The crowd's like, oh, like gasps, you know, and then it goes, war is over. It's like, oh. It's like inspired by the music of John Lennon and Yoko Ono. And the crowd's like, oh, and it's like directed by Sean Ono Lennon. And it was like, oh, and it's like executive produced Peter Jackson. Yeah, seriously. And the crowd is going nuts. Like the crowd's like murmuring and clapping. And they're like, oh my God. It's like animated at Weta Studios. And it was like, oh my God. And it's like everybody's going nuts. And it's like the song is playing over the credits and everybody, you know, it's Woodstock. Like it's like there's a lot of boomers and a lot of like hippies and stuff. Like everybody's going nuts. Yeah. Crowd goes silent. It's quiet. There's like 2 seconds of blank screen. And then my movie starts. No. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, no. I'm like, oh. I'm like, no, anybody but that. Why? It's just, okay. But then it got a good reaction. Like there were people who like laughed and clapped at the right parts and it felt good. And I was like, I kind of forgot about it. There were actually other like kind of big budget animations that didn't annoy me as much. So end of the screening, enough time has passed from that. And then it's like, we'd like to welcome to the stage all the filmmakers. So you're doing like the awkward thing where you're like saying hi to everybody, like getting up there. And it's like, and we're really pleased to welcome to the stage Sean Ono Lennon. And everybody, like, it really like, I was like, I had to ask my girlfriend after. I was like, did I do like kind of like a Jim from The Office? Like, was I just like what is that? What? And he's just like standing like 2 people away from me. And it's just like, I'm like, what the hell is going on? What is happening? So it was like, it kind of sucked the air out of the room too. Like one of the other films in the program was this guy. It was like a hand-drawn animation, like kind of like 90s MTV style about like, you know, horny grannies in a nursing home going on like a near-death experience. And I talked to this guy. He's like super nice, like really eccentric dude. He animated the entire thing by himself. It took him like 10 years.
Wow.
And like you could tell that the people at the festival wanted to hear about like even just him. I'm not saying this like to me to be like, what the hell, I had to follow that. But it was like people were interested in animation. You know, like somebody asked, like, how do you guys get funding for your animation? Like, I don't know enough about the animation industry.
Yeah.
And he answered, and Sean Lennon answered, and he's just like, oh, I wanted to do something for the 50th anniversary of the song. And directors were coming at me with really lame music video ideas. And I really want to do something like different. I wanted to make a film. And you're just like, shut up. And that was in the fall of 2024. Somebody asked a question and they were kind of referencing the war in Ukraine, right? Like it was before October 7th. Mm-hmm. And he was just kind of like, don't you kind of find this like your parents' message, like it's very sentimental, but it feels a little like out of date. Like he was kind of just being like, this is kind of like cloyingly like supposedly anti-war.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of like toothless, like nostalgia, like baby boomer, like hippies kind of sort of thing. Yeah. Like war is over if you want it. Mm-hmm. So even then, some people were kind of like, and he just kind of gave some like little half-ass answer about like his mom being a conceptual artist and us conceptualizing world peace or whatever, like just kind of like a very like blah answer. Yeah. But what really annoyed me about it, and the reason why I wanted to say the Oscar thing too, is that at that ceremony he won the Oscar for the best animated short, which there was other films in that category that were better than it. First of all, like the best animation never wins, so it's like. Like Kobe Bryant won one of those Oscars. It's just like, it's so crazy. It's like, why pretend like we know that the main Oscars are not a meritocracy, but why pretend like this little subsect of it is? Like there were other more interesting, more cinematic, more like politically challenging films, and he won. And this was the same Oscars that the director of Zone of Interest said something about the genocide in Gaza, and like he got like lambasted for it. Like, you know, people like he's like I'm Jewish. I don't like this. This is a movie about the Holocaust, but it's about present day too and stuff like that. Yeah. He made like a bold political statement. You know, the director of the documentary about the Ukraine said something about like anti-war and about standing up against Russia, and like like he made like a political statement. Yeah. And Sean Lennon went on stage at the Oscars and he was like, "Today's my mom's birthday. Everybody say happy birthday, happy birthday to Yoko Ono." And I'm just like, you make this like kind of like cloying, corny, sentimental movie about your parents' song, fine. But like it's wrapped in this fake anti-war political sentiment that's just really like facile and like, and then you're on the biggest stage, you've made it to, you've won the prize and you're on the stage and you're just like, I'm famous. My mom's famous. Hi. It just annoyed me. Yeah. It's just like, it was overrated. And I find that the longer it goes on, like the animations in those programs, there's interesting stuff, but they never win. And it's always just like the most popular one, or the one directed by like a famous person, or the one that was bought by Apple, or like whatever Pixar did that year. I'm glad I didn't take my students this year, because it's always like logistically a nightmare to get everybody down to like IFC at the same time and buy the tickets, and like people get there late, people get there early to buy their own, and I'm just like, ugh. And I just didn't do it this year because it didn't time out right. But then I was like, I'm kind of over it. Like it's like,
maybe it's not like even like a good thing to like represent to your students, to be like, this is the pinnacle. It's like, well, the pinnacle sucks.
Exactly.
And like to say that this is the pinnacle, it's like, well, it's a really unfair system. So like don't strive for this because it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
17. What's underrated?
Okay, more Joe Rogan talk. Let's keep it spicy.
Yes.
Socialism. I think we need to talk about. Nicole said this. We need to be more open about our politics. I don't know what's going to get us through what's going on right now with Trump. I don't know how, like, if there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but I know that it's going to be from union jobs. It's going to be from like collective action. It's going to be activism and like helping each other and building communities and lifting each other up. It's not going to be like an app, or it's going to be AI or something like that. Like, Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like, it's literally underrated because people our age, our generation, we grew up like post 80s, post 90s, like it's sort of kind of like union jobs was just not a thing. Yeah, I don't know. Shout out to the SVA faculty union. Shout out to Zoran for mayor. I just think that like things are really bad. Mm-hmm. They're probably going to get a lot worse. And we need to be really strong with our political convictions, and we need to work together and build solidarity, or like where none of us are going to get through this at all. Like we need to lift up, people looking for full-time jobs and get them a union job and free healthcare and free college. And it's like all of the things that Trump is doing right now and Elon Musk are doing right now. It's like they're attacking like the soft underbelly of a crumbling late capitalist society that has been doing the like every man for himself sort of thing for the last like 20 years. And it's like, we need to come together, and we need to, like, those of us who are pro this kind of stuff, we need to be more vocal about it. We have to use our platforms to be like, here's a chance when our friend agrees to interview you or when I accost you in the hallway and say, why haven't I been on your podcast yet?
Yes.
I got to use the chance, like to use, like I was just, saying about Sean Lennon. It's like, you're on the biggest stage in the world. The cameras are pointed at you.
Yeah.
You supposedly made an anti-war film.
Yeah.
There's like war and genocide all over the world. And you're just like, happy birthday, Mom.
Yeah.
Thank you for the Oscar. Like I did it. It's just, let's be more vocal and strong about our convictions, even if it, rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Preach.
All right.
And Sean Ono Lennon, you're invited onto the podcast. Let's make this right. This is like your chance. Okay. 18. Are you spiritual?
No.
Not at all.
You know what I am is I'm like superstitious. I like to gamble. I like gambling. So that like in itself, I'm like, that means that I believe in like luck, like fate, like I'm not like one of those like numbers gamblers who's like, oh, the statistics and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I like luck. I like maybe winning money, like that's fun. So like, and like you were talking about the zodiac, horoscope stuff.
Yeah.
Like Chinese zodiac stuff is all just superstition.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, it's your year. It's bad luck. Oh, it's this animal doesn't like your animal. It's bad luck. It's all bad. Like it's all like avoiding bad luck, or sometimes like getting fortune and winning.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was walking through a graveyard in Taiwan with my dad, and he says, I'm not scared of graveyards. Do you know why? And I said, he's an atheist. He's always been an atheist.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to say, I don't believe in the afterlife, or I don't believe in ghosts or something like that. And he said, because I'm a dragon. He's like the Chinese zodiac. He's like, I'm a dragon. Yeah. He's like, ghosts are scared of dragons. And I was just like, okay. So it's just like, it's like that. It's like vibes based kind of spirituality where it's like, it's like, the superstitious stuff is fun, but like on a spiritual level, like my mom made me go to church when I was a kid, but it was a Chinese church. It was kind of like more, like immigrant communities, like kind of use church as like just kind of like a gathering place. She's still kind of religious. I don't think she's gone since like we stopped going as a family, but she's more superstitious than anything either. Like she's kind of like just kind of like cover your base. Kind of thing. I don't know. She'll never listen to this, so it's fine. But like,
you think she's gonna be mad if she does?
Yeah, because she'll like say like like don't forget to pray, and I'll just like I'm like you don't really mean that. I'm like, you know what it is my her in-laws, my dad's family. My dad's an atheist, but the rest of his family, all my aunts and uncles are like hardcore evangelical Christians, like mega churches in like New Jersey and stuff. Like and she looks at them with a lot of disdain. Like she like makes fun of them, like she's like kind of like teases them for being like Jesus freaks. Yeah. So she's not like a born again, like hardcore Christian, but like I remember even at that age being forced to go to church and like going to like youth group or whatever. Yeah. And like seeing like these kids that I was friends with basically, and being like, wow, you really love God. I'm like, I don't know. I just don't feel it. Like, I'm like, I don't care about Jesus. Like, I get it. Yeah. But I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not even like I'm aggressively like atheist or anything, you know, I'm mostly just like, I kind of just don't see the appeal.
Yeah.
Specifically of like organized religion. I learned about humanism from like Kurt Vonnegut. He's got this great essay about humanism where he gave the eulogy at Isaac Asimov's funeral, who was also like an atheist humanist. And he said, Isaac is up in heaven looking down on us now. And it's like, he's like, everybody was dying. Like they're rolling in the aisles with laughter. Yeah. And it's just like this idea, like it's really it had a good, profound effect on me when I read it, where it's just kind of like, we can't like pass off what happens in life to a supernatural faith system. Like what we owe in life to each other is as human beings. Like we should help each other. We should care for each other without concern about like being rewarded in an afterlife or because it like your faith system tells you to. And like that speaks to me. And like, I get that like some people are religious and spiritual in a way that is basically just that, you know, like church or God or their faith system is what helps them like organize their emotions and the philosophy behind helping other people and stuff like that. But I feel like that's kind of few and far between for like real churchy types, you know, like it feels more in the opposite way where it's kind of like organized religion to me is always like, oh, this is how the world works. We behave this way because this faith system, you do these, you follow these rules, you do this. And I've just never like, that has never, ever resonated with me. So yeah. Sorry to my mom and to all my aunts and uncles. They used to give me subscriptions to Christian magazines for Christmas. And I was just like, okay. Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
19. Do you have any regrets?
I regret everything.
Oh my God.
I regret literally everything. I'm going to regret like half the things I said. I'm going to be like, I shouldn't have brought up the age thing. Yeah, it's like a running thing in this episode. I honestly like when I look, I have this kind of goes, I guess the inferiority complex thing sort of thing where it's like, I look back at my life in like sometimes like 6-month increments. And I think about what I was like then and like how I handled certain situations. And I'm just like, I should have done that. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. Or like, I could have handled that better. I should have done this. I'm just like constantly regretting everything. I'm like always overthinking things. I'm always second guessing things. I'm always going over something in my head over and over again and being like, I could have done that differently. And then this wouldn't have happened. And that, yeah, I don't know why it is about me, but I always do that.
Yeah.
And like big regrets, I don't really have any. I feel like I feel really comfortable about accepting the things about my life, you know, the choices that I've made. Like I don't have any like one that got away romantic thing from whatever a year ago. It's like nothing like that. No like, oh, I shouldn't have done this job. Like even when I was in that position, I was telling you where I was just like feeling my lowest, I don't even think I was like, I regret going to grad school. I regret getting an MFA. I think it was more just kind of like, this sucks. But everything else, no matter how small, like literally down to like jokes and like ways that I tell a story, like I was saying before with the night when we were joking about that, when I was joking about that, clearly joking about that, and I kept screaming, "This is the woke mob."
Yes,
I really was like, there are first year students who like don't know me in this bar at this like work event.
Yes.
And I'm like, they don't know that I'm joking. They think I'm like a psycho who's like terrorizing India. And then when
calling her old,
and then like, because I kept saying like, oh, it's like, so comedy's not allowed anymore. And I'm like, it's just such a stupid joke to make. And I'm like, yeah. After that night, I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have gone so hard with that. And now I'm like, I shouldn't have brought it up on recording. So now you have more ammo to embarrass me in front of my students. Yeah. So like things like that. Those are my regrets, all of them. So like literally like every past version of myself, everything I ever said, I probably at some point was like, ugh.
21 was the last time you lied.
Well, I teach. So I just lie all day long to my students. I was That's kind of only half joking. It's to me, a lot of teaching is about like confidence, and I'm not like by nature very confident. So like when I'm teaching, I have to like, I have like a persona, you know, like I'm like, I have to like put on an act. There's a lot of like, kind of just like, you know, like doing the same lecture over and over again every year, and like trying to deliver it like it's something fresh and new, so that like you like connect, and like telling the same jokes over and over again. I had a student in my who took my class, signed up for my class, and then came up to me after the first class and said, "I need to switch into your Wednesday section." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then she showed up to the next class. Like it was a week later because of the schedule, but she showed up, and I had to give her the same exact lecture, and she was standing there, and it was like very self-conscious about it. And I'm like, I have all these little things, like I pretend to mention something offhand, or like, like little jokes that I'm repeating over and over again.
That's so funny.
And it feels like lying. It feels like I'm just like, this is like an act kind of.
21, what would you say to yourself in 5 years? And actually something that I realized that in asking this question, you will have this record in 5 years.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. You know, I read this question wrong. I thought it was telling she was talking to herself 5 years ago.
Oh,
you know, like
no,
what would you say
right.
to your younger self?
No, you're right.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I said it wrong.
All
Okay,
right,
let me start over.
What's the actual question you wanted to ask?
I mean, that's what I wanted to ask.
That is what you wanted to ask? Okay, because that's a really interesting question, like talking to your future self.
What do you prefer to answer, I guess?
I mean, both of them are hard. They're both. I don't have a good answer for either. I guess I was thinking of it 5 years ago. It turns out it's like 5 years ago was the start of pandemic, right? Like it was the start of lockdown. Like everything was really, really bad. I think at the time I was genuinely like, is society going to collapse before I get tenure at my job? Like, am I gonna wait this out? You know, because I did. So again, the end of that
that's
other.
Like gonna be the name of like your memoir. Like that's really funny. Like that's hysterical. That's like a really funny thought.
So I got my job. I got a tenure track teaching job in the spring of 2018. So it was like a year and a half. Like everything was great. You know, we had Bill de Blasio's major. He's the mayor. He really cares about education, whatever. Like CUNY's budgets were high and everything. And it's like within a year and a half, lockdown, hiring freeze, like students are leaving college. People are like, I didn't want to pay for school on Zoom. I mean, students were literally, I didn't have a student who died, but I know I had many students who had family members who died in COVID. I had a lot of students, a lot of neuroatypical students who like just Zoom was not an option. Like there's no like some kids made their way through it. You know, they're like, they made the most of it. But I had a lot of students at that job who just like, they're just like, I can't do this. I can't do that. I could see it, and I could see them struggling. And I was just like, there's nothing I can do for you, like through this screen. And it was really disheartening. And it really felt like I was just like, I made it, you know, like to the guy sitting at the lowest moment sort of thing. I'm like, I got a tenure track job. This is so rare. Yeah. And I'm like, is higher education going to exist like in 5 years? You know, it was really, really scary kind of like, what do I do sort of moment sort of thing. So I guess I would say that to myself. I'm not a particularly optimistic person at all. So I think it would be like helpful to hear that I made it. Looking forward, I don't even know if I could. I guess just like sorry to my future self for everything that I just said and the embarrassment it caused. And I had my friend India get canceled for insulting Sean Lennon, letting somebody come on their podcast to insult like one of the darlings of indie animation, supposedly. Indie animation. No, I don't know. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry to my future self.
22, what do you consider your greatest achievement?
Okay. I have a really good answer for this.
Is it being on this podcast?
This is up there. No, honestly, it is. This is the most I felt like a real animator. Is being on the animators front. You're doing wonders for my imposter syndrome. Good. So I used to live in Astoria. I pulled up to a parking spot. It was on kind of a busy, it was like on a boulevard. It was kind of a busy street. It wasn't a big spot. It was like not small, but it was like not a spacious parallel parking spot. There was cars behind me, cars coming the other way. I think my sister was in the car, so there's a witness. And then I looked past the spot, and there was an old Greek guy smoking a cigarette on his stoop. Yeah. And he kind of made eye contact with me, like he was really close to the spot. And he kind of made eye contact with me, and like maybe like raised his eyebrow just a little bit, like just like, oh. And I was just like, oh my God. It was like the most high pressure parking spot ever. Like you can imagine. You know, cars are starting to pile up behind me. I put it in reverse. I went in flawless. One swift, no hesitation, no stuttering, no slamming on the brake, no like, oh no, I cut it too fast. Yeah. Flawless parallel parking. Like you could put a video of it in the dictionary, in a Wikipedia for how to parallel park. Yeah. Perfectly. Like no hesitation, smoothly back, straighten out, back, park the car, get out, come up on the sidewalk. The old guy puts out a cigarette, looks at me, and he says, I like the way you make the parking. Aww. And then he goes, you make the number one parking. And I was like, yes. Yes. And when I look back at my life, I swear to God, that's my biggest achievement. Aww. It's the most accomplished. Like everything else that we're talking about, like jobs, animation, career success.
On stage with Sean.
On stage with Sean. No, like honestly, like everything else I owe to everybody else. I owe to like friends, connections, collaborators, privilege, luck, right? Like I have a joke that's not even really a joke, but I said I only got my job teaching full time because at the interview when I was in the waiting room, one of my coworkers came and made small talk with me, and she was like, "Do you have trouble getting here?" Because it's in Bayside. You have to take the 7 to the end of the line and then take like a 20-minute bus ride from Flushing to Bayside. And she was like, do you have trouble getting here? And I was like, I drove. And she's like, oh, you have a car. And I'm like, that's why they hired me. I'm like, they're having trouble finding somebody who could make it all the way out to Bayside. They saw that I lived in Queens. They learned that I have a car, and they gave me the job. That's the only reason. Out of all the people in the world trying to adjuncting and struggling in higher ed and looking for a tenure track job, I'm like, it's like 80% not a joke. That I'm just like, it's just luck. You know, these job searches, festivals, awards, like having people see your work and appreciate it. Like I do like my work. I am proud of the stuff that I've done. Yeah. I'm proud of my job. But I don't consider them like accomplishments. Like I'm not like, I did this. Like I set out to do this thing and I did it by myself and I got rewarded for it. When I think really hard, I'm just like that Greek guy who told me I made the number one parking. Like I'm like, I think this is the most thing I've accomplished. Yeah. That one's mine. Nobody else gets credit for that.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. And it does seem like high praise.
It was really awesome. It was so high pressure. Like I was just like, this is going to be the most embarrassing moment ever. And I just like nailed it. And I'm just like, that is the most satisfying feeling in the world.
23. What do you want to plug?
I mentioned my film. It's on YouTube now.
What's it called?
It's called The Misprint. It's a hybrid digital stop motion animation that I did with 3D printing. 3D printing that I did here at SVA, MFA CA. It had a very modest, festival tour in 2024. And it's on YouTube to be streamed in full. I guess I'll plug my YouTube channel. I updated my YouTube channel with all of like weird little animations that I've made in the last like 10 years since the last time I updated it. Some like video things, some music that I made. It's like a shifting from like, I'm a filmmaker. I did it. I went to festivals, I showed, and now I'm like, I'm a content creator. I have like all of this stuff was, all these videos and all these like this music and stuff was spread out across like various social medias and stuff. And like, I'm like really like kind of like sick and fed up with like Instagram and Twitter and everything. And I'm just like, I'll put my film on YouTube. I'll update all the stuff there. Yeah. So it's all in one place. Yeah. So yeah, if people want to see my film, The Misprint, I am proud of it. I'm proud of its festival run. I do consider it an accomplishment or achievement. Just it wasn't as satisfying as the Greek guy saying I made the number one parking. Yeah. I considered very briefly like putting it on Vimeo or putting it on Amazon or something. Just like $1 a stream and just see who pays for it. But then I was just like, I don't like the idea of taking money for it. I paid for it mostly by myself, but I did get a grant from my other job to make it. And so recouping costs was not an issue. And it mostly is just like, I didn't really want to turn something that I really cared about like that into just like something to be like bought and sold. So instead what I did was I put a bunch of links in my Instagram profile for charities and mutual aids. And one of them is my friend, Stephanie Shee. She's an artist. She's a ceramicist, but she does like a lot of fundraising. She's been collecting funds for humanitarian relief in Gaza, like direct relief, like food, tents, blankets, and stuff like that. She's collected so much. She uses her art practice to reach audiences. And I was just like, I just asked, I was like, hey, if you would pay $2 to stream this, give $2 to charity in my name. And that's enough for me. So
generous. And perhaps, if I can ask the listener, go watch Misprint on YouTube a bunch of times, and then maybe you'll get advertising.
Maybe, yeah. I did show it to my class the other day, and it had an ad on it, and I was like, I have to watch an ad to watch my own film. Yeah.
So then, shouldn't you get money? Isn't that what that means?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't checked how many views I have, but it's not a lot.
I thought that when they would put an ad on, that meant that it's
someday I'll get
that you should get money.
Yeah, maybe. I hope so.
They're advertising on your work.
Yeah. I don't want to poo-poo like content creators or whatever. Or maybe I do. I don't know.
Hey.
Well, the podcast isn't content. I mean, you know what I mean. Like,
I want to monetize.
No. You should, and people should buy ads on this podcast, especially now that we're going to have tons of attention because I'm starting animation beef with Sean Lennon.
Yes.
No, I meant like content creators, like YouTubers, like streamers, Instagram influencers and stuff like that. Like that's what I consider content. Yeah. I know technically podcasts are content, but they're their own thing. It's an established medium now. I think you should monetize this. Everybody give India money.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. 24 is your surprise question.
Okay.
How old am I? There's only one way to settle this.
Oh my God. All right. I actually need to think about this. See, the fact that I don't know off the top of my head is proof that I'm not obsessed with age. Because if I was obsessed with age, then I would have this memorized. Right? I want to say that you are somewhere between 5 to 10 years younger than me. Because again, this is the proof that I said to you when you accused me of calling you old. So for the listener, apparently at some point I was asked to guess India's age.
No,
and
I think you volunteered.
No, I don't.
Yes,
I don't think that's what happened.
You're 40, right? And I was like, excuse me.
Okay. All right. So apparently at some point that actually sounds familiar. At some point, I made a joke in front of other people by implying that India was 40.
It was not a joke.
It was a joke.
It was not a joke.
And the reason why it was 40 is because I was 40 or I was turning 40. And it was like I was using that as proof because I know we're not the same age.
But
anyways,
do you?
What? I do because the story that I'm about to tell, which is that a very long time ago at some MFACA event, you, me, and maybe Rob or Darren were talking about music, and we were talking about going through an emo phase, and somebody brought up My Chemical Romance, and you said, I love that band when I was in middle school. And I said, that band was around when I was in college. So I know how old you are. You are
I'm going to need an exact age.
Oh my God. Okay. Middle school, My Chemical Romance. You are 34 years old.
Nope.
No? How old are you?
Called me old again.
Oh, God.
This is
31.
Proof. No.
You're not 31 yet?
I'm older.
Oh,
than
okay.
31.
All right. Jesus.
32.
32. Oh.
You're not 31 yet. You just keep... You've aged terribly then.
That's not what I meant.
I
meant you're giving me all this shit about supposedly calling you old, which I did as a joke.
You called me old in multiple ways here today.
And I'm saying that you're like, I was saying incredulously, like, you're giving me a hard time about calling you old and you're what, 29? That's what I meant. I said, you're making everything about age and you're not even 31 yet. You're 32?
32.
32. And you have a birthday in the summer or the fall?
June.
June.
So I'll be 33.
33. Okay. Wait, so you're 33. I'm turning 42 in July.
Mm-hmm.
So I was right.
I guess there's a 9-year.
9-year difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was right. I almost said 5 to 8, but then I was like, that's not enough. 5 to 10.
I'm also just remembering a detail of when you did say that I was 40, that I was like, offended because I was younger. Even like, I don't even know how old I must have been, like what, 29, 30, and you were saying I was 40. And then I was like, what? And we're going back and forth about it. And you were like, you're just so mature, which leads me to believe that you really believed it.
It was a joke. It was like,
you're
bit.
so mature though.
I have to say, I was really drunk when that happened.
Uh-huh.
I am 100% positive because what the time you're describing was definitely after I had attended your birthday party.
Mm.
The one when you made the pizza in the outdoor oven.
Yeah.
I know how old you are.
Mm-hmm. You keep saying that.
I chose 40 and I was making a bit about how you look being mature and like 40 being like this, like, oh my God, nobody's 40 because I was 40. That was the joke. The joke was at my expense.
Mm-hmm. I didn't feel that way.
Well, let me just say on the record,
mm-hmm.
I'm sorry if I offended you. I'm not sorry for what I said, but I'm sorry if it offended you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if your delicate sensibility
oh my God.
offended you. Okay, in all seriousness, see, this is the regret thing. I'm like, I can't make this a bit. I just want to say that it was a joke, but I understand that you did not think it was, and for that I am sorry. It's also, I just want to point out, again, for the listeners, I'm not the type of person who would call somebody old and then say you look old or you look mature. Like, that is insane.
You didn't say I look mature.
What did I say?
I am mature.
You are mature.
I am a mature person, which in normal circumstances, that would be a compliment, but not when paired with, oh, you're not 40.
No, it was a joke. It was a joke. It was a bit. It was an elaborate bit. I was trying to call back to the time that we would discover that you're 9 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure clearly you didn't get it. And I'm sure the people who were around you didn't get it. And then the people you relayed the story to, again, a year later, didn't get it.
We'll have to just see what the listeners think.
Yeah. Look, being 40 is fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It seems like you're having a good time.
One of my students called me Unk the other day. Or Unk status. It wasn't a student. It's one of my TAs at Queensboro.
So funny.
And I was like,
Unk.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's fine. I'll take it. Like, that's better. Like, it's like, I'm not ashamed. Like, that's fine. Like, call me like Unk. I forget what she said, like Unk status or something. I said something. Yeah, I think she was asking me about video games, like something youthful. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know. I don't have the attention span. Like, I can't sit down and play a video game for an hour.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, Unk status.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. I love that. You're not old. I'll say it. You might not say it to me, but you're not old.
Thank you, India.
You're welcome.
No, I mean, I am, though.
You're not.
I am. 40 is old.
It's not old.
It's middle-aged. Thank you for saying that. And I'm sorry I called you old. And it wasn't an insult. It was a joke. It was a high concept joke. High risk, low reward that I regret. Put it on the list of regrets.
You have reached the portion of the episode where I am reading my own writing from college about, really the paper was about film and the digital turn. So it was kind of a broader topic than I remembered, but using Jurassic Park as a prime example. I'm just going to read it and we can talk about it after. When discussing film and the digital turn, Andre Bazin prophesized that the progression toward digital views of reality would evolve over time. As time goes on, the technology to create very real-looking digital scenarios keeps on improving, and more filmmakers are attracted to the revolutionary aspect of using this new technology. Every big-budget filmmaker of today wants their film to be more and more grand and spectacular than all films preceding it. Because of this, there seems to be a competition to create the most realistic CGIs ever. The problem is that this technology winds up becoming overused in every film. The technology is used just for the sake of it. Although the development of this technology is important and should be used, its spectacle should not be the sole purpose of a movie. In a lot of ways, Jurassic Park typifies this use of CGIs, but it is also unique in that this was the first film of its time to use the technology it did. Still, there are some aspects of Jurassic Park's animation that seem very obvious and overblown. The first scene in Jurassic Park that features dinosaurs is when the main characters show up on the island and are getting a tour. They are dumbstruck by the sight of a massive Brachiosaurus. At the time that this film was made, seeing humans with this computer-animated dinosaur was probably an amazing sight. But seeing it now, it looked out of place. The creature looked, for lack of a better word, shiny. It had this gleam that seemed very strange and made the creature look like it did not belong. It also seemed super massive in comparison to the actors. I'm sure that the Brachiosaurus was generated to scale, but something about its size seemed weird. This is characteristic of many CGIs. They become so perfect looking that they end up in what is called the uncanny valley, where it looks so real that the flaws that do exist in it are exaggerated and often make the viewer uncomfortable. During day scenes in Jurassic Park, I feel as though this happens. In contrast, Jurassic Park's night scenes are far more impressive than the day scenes. In the dark, it is easier to hide the flaws and surrealistic aspects of the CGIs. The scenes where the humans are being chased after, attacked, and killed by the dinosaurs seem very realistic. These scenes were probably the scariest scenes of the whole movie for this reason. One aspect of the animation that I was impressed with was the physics on the dinosaurs. During class, many people said that the dinosaurs seemed too light to be doing the things that they were doing, like jumping on tables and leaping over logs, but I thought that their weight seemed appropriate. I would imagine that dinosaurs, being the dominant species of their time, had to be agile. The dinosaurs in Jurassic Park were agile, but also seemed heavy when they hit the ground. Since this technology was very exciting at the time, the filmmakers of Jurassic Park very much wanted to flaunt the power of it. The one scene that shows off the technology the most was the end scene, where the humans escape from the building, where the T-Rex and the Velociraptors battle until the T-Rex knocks off the competition to celebrate by roaring ferociously while a banner that says something to the effect of "When dinosaurs ruled the world." Everything about this scene was very obviously for dramatic effect and to show off more animation wonders. This started a trend in films to come to feature over-the-top scenes highlighting impressive animations of unbelievable situations. This is where Jurassic Park fails to understand the true purpose of a film. A film should not be made just to show off some cool technique. A film should be made because it has something to say. Jurassic Park was lucky in the sense that it did have something to say, and it was also quite entertaining. But many films that followed were not as lucky. The new technology that is available to filmmakers is very advanced and opens up many opportunities in modern filmmaking. The problem is that many filmmakers rely too much on this technology and wind up forgetting how important the storyline and the subtlety of the events on that line are. Filmmaking under this umbrella seems borderline masturbatory in its abuse of technology. Using this technology is fine, but technology for the sake of technology is never good. Okay, first and foremost, I apologize for saying the CGIs multiple times. I have no idea why I would be referring to them as the CGIs. You guys, I didn't go to an animation program. I studied video art, for lack of a better term. I was not in the world of animation, hardly at all. So the CGIs, fascinating. So I actually remember, like I think, you know, my opinion of Jurassic Park, which I have not seen since this time. I guess it feels very informed by what I didn't like about the film, but my paper is actually a lot more positive than I thought towards Jurassic Park. Specifically, I think that it's recognizing that it was an important film and that the technology was quite stunning, and even by today's standards. But it's more that it was the starting point for an unfortunate trend that was typified by that last scene that I really don't like, and that I continue to really not like that last scene. But that wasn't the whole movie. And but like other movies kind of continue the use of that kind of over the top flaunting of technology. So I think that's more what I was taking issue with than Jurassic Park as a whole. I feel like some of the things I say here, I'm like, yeah, right on, like about story and whatnot. And I'm like, that's so cool that I was still thinking about like story. But then, yeah, there's other things that like bringing up the uncanny valley as if nobody's ever heard of that term before. I think it was probably new to me, you know? So there's some, I feel like moments of pretension, but that's fine. This was probably my most pretentious time in life. So, also not loving using the word masturbatory. But it's true. I think that it's a thing. I overall agree with my sentiments that are here. And like I said, I think this is a lot more forgiving than what I remembered writing. So maybe some people will feel vindicated by this reading. Maybe I've opened up another can of worms. This podcast is recorded and edited by India Lombardi-Bello, with facilities provided in part by SVA MFA Computer Arts. Music by Crank and Cloutmeyer Evans. Design by Sawyer Rippon. Special thanks to Lisa Lombardi-Bello and Mick Bello, Darren Santamaria, Jack Meisterich, Andres Salazar, Jose Vargas, Michael Dondero, Adam Meyers, and Rebecca Huang. Talk to you next time.